Exile changes you, makes you reevaluate everything. We've been caught in a crossfire of circumstances beyond our control. Even after exile ends, it's hard to just go back to normal as usual. Daniel can relate. 2 years after the vision in chapter 9, Daniel is in his late 80s. The exile is over, but Daniel did not go home to Jerusalem. Perhaps it was his age, or maybe he felt called to stay and help influence King Cyrus of Persia. In any case, in chapter 10, Daniel receives a terrifying vision of one war after another that greatly affected God's people. What's different about chapters 10 and 11 is that the vision is not described to us. Daniel simply tells us that he saw a great conflict. This great conflict so traumatized Daniel that he mourned for 3 weeks. He ate no meat, drank no wine, he didn't even shower. His friends began to worry about him. Maybe a nice little stroll along the Tigris River will do him some good. Then suddenly, a man from heaven appears. Daniel could see him, but his friends could only feel his daunting presence, so they took cover. Dressed in linen with a belt of pure gold, his body glistened as if sculpted from a precious stone. His face was radiant, his eyes bright and penetrating like torches. His voice was deep and resonant, sounding much like a roar of a huge crowd. He scared the bejeebies out of Daniel, and Daniel ended up making a face plant in the ground. The angel said, "O Daniel, you are greatly loved. Do not fear. God has heard your prayers since the first day you humbled yourself before him, and I have come in answer to your prayer. The angel prince of the kingdom of Persia opposed me for 21 days. Good thing Michael, one of the chief angels, came to help me. The dark side doesn't want this information released." Who is this prince of Persia? How could he resist a powerful angelic warrior to the point that Michael had to be summoned for help? Paul refers to these diabolical princes as rulers and authorities in heavenly realms. God's angel finally got through to give a detailed interpretation of the great conflict Daniel had seen 3 weeks prior. We've seen how God's people can be targeted because of their faith, but in Daniel's visions, they get caught in various political crossfires. Although Daniel doesn't reveal what he saw in Daniel chapter 10, we can assume it included exaggerated cartoonish-like characters like the previous visions. What is revealed is the interpretation. For the next 200 years, the Persian Empire would remain the dominant power in the ancient Near East, but its superpower status will end when Alexander the Great takes over the entire region. The Greek Empire will rise as quickly as it falls. God's people will be caught in the crossfire as things get totally out of control. With centuries of conflict between Egypt and Syria now, God's people are caught in the middle again, and it gets worse. A terrible dictator named Antiochus Epiphanes IV will try to destroy everyone associated with God's holy covenant. But by God's grace, God's people will survive and stay true to the Lord. Notice Daniel's response to the whole episode. He doesn't pray to angels or cast down any territorial spirits. He doesn't command anyone to do anything. He simply directs his prayer to God. After all, the Lord is in charge of heaven's army. He will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all of your ways, says the psalmist, and work all things together for our good. Demonic spirits may try to thwart God's angels on assignment and deceive earthly rulers and peoples. But heaven's army never stands down. We may not know what's going on behind the scenes, but Daniel's vision confirms that God is in control, not Satan. Christ is seated at the Father's right hand, far above all rule and authority and power and dominion. He's in charge of everything from galaxies to governments to spiritual powers, not only in this age, but also in the age to come. The people who know their God will stand firm and take action. If the powers are under Christ's feet, they are also under his body, the body of Christ. So fear not, be strong, and of good courage. You are greatly loved, and seated with Christ in heavenly places, far above all these powers. And one day they will make a really cool footstool. Tune in next week.